Hello students, in this lecture video we are going to discuss about the PERT CPM, the development of network and the difference between PERT and CPM. Now let us see the lecture objectives. To know the process for development of network, what is the procedure for the development of a network diagram? And also you will be able to to know the difference between PERT and CPM. So the difference between PERT and CPM. The lecture outcomes. To after studying this particular topic, you will be able to aware about the process for the development of network, and also you will be able to differentiate the PERT with CPM. Now, project management. So what is project management? The project management is the discipline of managing all the different resources and aspects of project in such a way that the resources will deliver all the output that is required to complete the project within the defined scope, time and cost constraint. Now forget about this project management. Let us consider a small simple project that is known to everybody, that is construction of a house. You imagine that you are going to construct a house. Now to construct a house, what is required? Basically a plan is required, and then we need money is required, and then finally you will execute the plan, and then you import all the materials that is required for the construction of the building. Then you start constructing the building. You initially do the basement for the house, and then start constructing different things and finally complete the house. So you consider this work as a project. If you consider this work as a project, now there are different activities that are involved here. Now doing a plan or constructing the basement is one particular activity. Now once the activity is completed, then only you will move on to the next activity. So now from activity to activity, now what we call it as an event. So this construction of basement is event. Once the event is completed, then you will move on to the next event. So during the process we call it as an activity. So construction of basement. So now this way your entire project can be divided into some kind of events and activities. So now the project is divided into event and activities. Now you are going to make use of these events and activities by rearranging these events and activities. You will be able to complete the entire project. Now what we have discussed is a small simple house, but it can be anything. Like in your real time, in your engineering course of work, you will be able to engage many projects. Now you will be able to define the project into different events and activities. So you should know about what is project management. The project management is a discipline of managing all the different resources and aspects, because in the project management you are manage all the resources, because you will have a lot of resources that is involved in the project. You are supposed to manage these resources. In what way that you are supposed to manage all these resources is the scope, in what you are going to complete this, that must be completed. Let's say you want to construct a road. So to what parameter and to what extent that you are supposed to construct the road must be available. This is what we call it as a scope. So beyond that area you cannot go for construction. So that is the scope of your work. And then time, within what time you are supposed to complete your work, that is time. And also at what cost you are supposed to do this entire work. Okay, you are doing perfectly the work, but in case if the cost is more than what it is expected, then probably your project may not get attractive. So that's why your project must be associated with these three, like scope, time and cost constraints. So you are supposed to manage all these constraints and finally manage resources, and you are supposed to complete the project. So the way you manage all these and try to complete the project is nothing but a project management is. Now, what is a network diagram? So, a network diagram is a graphical representation of all the tasks, responsibilities and workflow for a project. So, in the previous example, we just discussed about a construction of house. So, in the construction of house, there are different activities that are involved. Now, a network diagram is nothing but a graphical representation of all these events and activities. So, and it always it often looks like a chart. When you draw a network diagram, it looks like a chart and it involves boxes, arrows. So, that's called a network diagram. Now, let's see the construction of network. How do we construct a network? There are certain rules for constructing the network. In project management, these rules are very important for you to understand. Now, let's see one by one what are the different rules for the construction of a network. First of all, an activity is indicated by a forward direction arrow and an event is indicated with a circle, and two events are connected by one activity. Now, that's what the project is about, the events and activities. So, activity is nothing but the process, event is nothing but a task. So, the activity must be done to complete a particular task. Let's say, for example, you are going to construct a building wherein a basement is required. So, construction of basement. So, during the process through which you construct your basement is nothing but an activity. Unless and until you do this, the task of basement must not be completed. So, the task is nothing but an event. So, construction of that basement is nothing but an event, whereas the process what you follow for the constructing that particular basement is nothing but a activity. Now, in the network diagram, because we are going to develop a network diagram, right? In the development of network diagram, what you are supposed to do is make use of these events and activities. So, now activity is indicated by a forward direction arrow and event is indicated by the circle. And the two events are connected by an activity. So, now moving from one event to another event, there must be a work must be done. So, if you construct a basement, then you start working on the basement work. So, that's what the activity. So, activity connects to events. And the tail event must be given a lesser number than the head event. So, tail event always, event is nothing but indicated in a circle. So, where this circle tail event must be given lesser number than the head event. And the nodes are numbered to identify an activity uniquely. So, nodes is nothing but the circle. So, where they are numbered to identify an activity uniquely. So, to uniquely identify that particular node, we must give a specific number. So, that number indicates that particular node, and a tail node must be lower than the head node. So, lower starting point must be given the lesser number than the ending point. Arrows should not cross each other. So, arrows are none other than the activities. So, activities should not cross each other. So, there should not be a crossover of one activity with another activity is another important rule. And then arrows must be kept straight and not curved or bent. So, that is also another rule, that activity must not be a bent in shape or curved in shape. They must be drawn on a straight line or forward direction arrow. Every node must have at least one activity proceeding it and at least one activity following it, except for node at the beginning and at the ending of the network. So, except at the nodes of ending and the starting and the ending. So, in between whatever nodes are there, for each and every node, that is circle, there will be an activity from the back end and also an activity from the front end. So, there will be activities from back end and front end with a one particular event. Now, the construction of network, the numbering of events. So, how do we give numbering for these circles? So, First, the event numbers must be unique. So every event must be given a unique number to identify it very specifically. So that event must be given a number. So 0, you can start with 0, or you can start with 1 also, that's also there. So event numbering must be carried out on a sequential basis from the left to right. So from the left to right, you need to follow a sequential order for giving the numbering for the events. So 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. And also the initial event is numbered either 0 or 1. You can start giving number as 0 for the initial event, or you can start with the number 1 also for the initial event. But once you start the number, it should go on a sequential order for the next upcoming events. The head of an arrow should always bear a number higher than the one assigned at the tail of the arrow. So that's what the head event always must be given a higher number than the tail event. Okay, and the gap should be left in the sequence of event numbering to accommodate a subsequent conclusion of activities if necessary. In case of any joining of activities, so for that a gap also must be given to give the age for the construction of a network diagram. Now let's see the example 1 for drawing the network diagram with all the rules and regulation rules what we have discussed so far. Draw the logic network for the following diagram with the activities C, D both follow A, activity E follows C, activity F follows D, activity E follows F and proceeds B. So with this we can draw a network diagram in this way. So see this, activities C and D both follow A. So see this activity A, after this activity A there is an activity C and also there is an activity D. And also it must be given like activity E follows C. See this activity E must be written down after the C only. So it is drawn in that way. And also activity F follows D. So for drawing the F activity there must be an activity D proceeds prior to that. So you have seen that. And also activity E and F proceeds B, means before B there must be the activities E and F. That's why we have joined these E and F activities in the node 5 and to draw the next activity, that is B. So we'll complete this particular diagram, and we're giving the numbering. See the tail event in the first activity we have given for A, that is 1, 2, and after that we have followed the sequential order. Now we have given 2 to 3 and 2 to 4 and 3 to 5, 4 to 5 and 5 to 6. In this way we have given a numbering for the various events that are involved in this particular network diagram. So hope you would have understand how to draw a network diagram, basic network diagram, using some data that is given for you. Now let us see another activity, another example for the same. Develop a network based on the following information. Activities are given straight away A to H, and the immediate predecessors are also given. There is no immediate predecessors for A and B as well. But for C it is A, D it's B, for E it is C and D combination, and also for F there is a C and D combination, and for G it is E, and for H it is F. Now you can see that using the given data we can draw the network diagram in this way. So since A and B are having no predecessors, that's why A and B are the starting activities. So that's why we have started A and B activities from one particular node. And then for C there is a predecessor, that is A. So for drawing C there must be ensured that there is an activity A, you have seen on the diagram. And for D it is B, that is ensured. And then for E, C and D must be joined because they both are the predecessors of E. That's why for drawing the E activity C and D must be joined. That's why we have joined the C and D activities. And for F also, C and D are the predecessor. That's why we have taken that. And for G, E is the predecessor. For H, F is the predecessor, as we have taken in that. And for the H, F is the predecessor. And finally, both H and both G and H are joined together at the node, because all the activities must be connected at one particular node at the end. That's why G and H are connected at one particular node, given as a numbering 7. So while giving the numbering, we need to follow the order, like tail event must be given lesser number than the head event. That's why tail event in the first activity we have given A, for it is 1 and 2, 3, 4, and like that we have followed, and finally we have given the last activity, that is last event, that is 7. So hope you have to understand this particular example. And this is something interesting and very important to know about the network diagram, that is dummy activity. So what is the dummy activity? Sometimes drawing the network diagram become difficult, because the given data may not be what we call directly cannot be used for constructing the network diagram. So wherein you need some kind of support. So these supports can be taken out from the dummy activities. We'll see what is called a dummy activity. A dummy activity is a kind of activity where there is no work will be done. So the duration of this dummy activity is 0. So an activity which does not consume any resource time, but merely depict the technological independence, technological dependence, is called a dummy activity. And also it is represented by the dotted lines. It's not been represented as a solid line. Solid line is always indicated for an activity, but for the dummy activity, dotted line will be indicated. And also draw the network diagram based on this particular given information. So you can see this data, that is activity A to K, that is given, and predecessors A, B, C, no predecessors, but all the remaining activities are being given some kind of predecessors. Using the data, so there is a need for you look at the point 6, node 6. At node 6, what happens is, for drawing the I activity, you look at their I. What is the predecessor for I? F is the predecessor. But for drawing the F, again for K there is a predecessor F and G. So F and G combination is required for drawing the K. So for drawing I, F alone must be the predecessor. So how F can alone be predecessor? So that's the reason why we can use the dummy over here. So when you use a dummy, then F alone can become predecessor for I. So we have used a dummy here, and for using a dummy, for drawing the dummy diagram, we have used the dotted arrow, and finally we have drawn the dummy arrow, dummy activity with the duration 0. So finally we have constructed this particular network diagram. So in this way, whenever there is a need for making use of some kind of dummies, you can use it, but dummy carries no time value, and also the carries no the resource value and all, but it will be indicated with a dotted arrow. Also you can consider another example, the data can also be given in this way for drawing the networks diagram. So A less than D comma E, B comma D less than F, C less than G, and B less than H, which is nothing but indicating that A less than D, in the sense A is the predecessor for D. That's what the meaning of it. Now using this particular data, we can draw a diagram. Look at there. So B is the only activity, and also A is again the only activity, and C is also the only activities that are being started. So A, B, C both are the initial activities, so are started. But for H, B must be the predecessor. So B less than H, in the sense For H, B must be the predecessor. So before H, we must ensure that there is a B. Yes, we have ensured. And then for a D, what is required? Before D, A must be ensured. So before D, there is a activity. And for E, what is required again? A is the predecessor. So for D also, for E also, D is the predecessor. So there is a predecessor for E. A is the predecessor for E, that is also ensured here. And then G. For G, what is the predecessor? So C less than G, so that's why C is the predecessor for G. So you can ensure that. But for what about F? For F, B comma D both are the predecessors. So now B and D are not being connected directly. Now how you would connect this B and D is simply with a dummy activity. That's why B and D are connected with a dummy activity at point at event 5, and there we have drawn the F activity. In that way, so we are supposed to understand the data given for the constructing network diagram, and finally we are supposed to complete the network diagram in this way. Now let's see the difference between PERT and CPM. So PERT and CPM are the techniques through which the project management works can be, project management can be done. So PERT is nothing but a project evaluation and review technique, PERT. And PERT is appropriate technique which is used for projects where the time required or needed to complete different activities are not known. So one of the important information about the PERT is when time required or needed to complete the different activities are not known, then the PERT can be applied. PERT is majorly applied for scheduling, organization, and integration of different tasks within a project, and it provides a blueprint of a project and is efficient technique for project evaluation. Now, whereas what is CPM? CPM is a technique which is used for the projects where the time needed for the complete for the project is completely or already known. So when the time required for completing different events for the project is known, then CPM is applied. It is majorly used for determining the approximate time within which the project can be completed. So mostly it is used for the projects where approximate time completion is known. And the critical path is the largest path in the project management, which always provide the minimum time for the completion of the project. So that is what is the CPM, critical path method. Now let's see the difference between PERT and CPM. What is the difference between PERT and CPM? It's very important to understand the difference between PERT and CPM. So PERT is a technique, the technique of project management which is used to manage the uncertain, because the time is not known for the PERT technique. So where the project time is not known for us. So in such a scenario, we apply the PERT technique. Whereas in the CPM, the project management and the time are certain because the time is very much known for us. And in the PERT, it is event oriented technique, which means that the network is constructed on the basis of event. So it is event based construction of network and it is constructed on the basis of event. But whereas CPM, it is activity oriented technique. So event is circle, activity is a forward direction arrow. So this CPM is based on the activity, whereas PERT is based on the event. And PERT is a probability model because we don't know the exact time for the completion of the project, so it is based on certain probability. But whereas this CPM is based on the time that is very much known for the completion of the project, so it is deterministic model. And PERT, it majorly focuses on time as meeting the time target or estimation of percentage completion of time is more important. So target completion of time, meeting the time target, and also the percent completion of time project is of more important in the case of PERT technique. But whereas in CPM, it majorly focuses on the time cost trade-off. So in case if time is more time is required for the completion of the project, then cost can be reduced. Or else if the cost, if you want to reduce the time of completion of the project, then at least you need to compromise on cost. In that way, time and cost must be a trade-off, and that is required in case of CPM. It is appropriate for high precision time estimation, because time estimation is required in case of PERT, whereas in CPM it is appropriate for reasonable time estimation. It has non-repetitive nature of job, whereas in the PERT it is a non-repetitive nature of job, whereas in the CPM it has a repetitive nature of job, because depending upon the crashing of events you are supposed to repeat. And also it does not use any dummy activities. Yes, in PERT you don't use dummy activities, whereas in CPM you use your dummy activities to represent and make the events in sequential orders. And it is suitable for projects which is required in research and development. So mostly the projects related to research and development PERT is used, and it is useful for the construct, but whereas the CPM technique is mostly useful for the project